You're listening to Sarah Hagan Backstage, with interviews and insights from years inside the music industry. Join Sarah as she talks with masters of their crafts, finding out what makes them tick, both inside and outside of the music business.
Welcome to Sarah Hagan Backstage. My guest today, John Tempesta, is the drummer with The Cult and Motor Sister, and is known for his time with White Zombie, Rob Zombie, Exodus, Testament, Helmet, and others. John joins me on a day off on the Cult tour to talk about how he got his start in drums, the adventures he has had along the way, and what he is up to now. So come along with me as I catch up with John Tempesta. Johnny T, welcome to the podcast.
Sarah, so good to see you. How are you?
It's so good to see you too. I'm really great. Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. I'm finally back on tour after 2.5 years sitting around. So it's our first week, and I couldn't be happier. The shows are going well, and the crowds are really, amazing, and the band's great, and yeah, everything's good. So I feel normal. Put it that way.
Right? You feel like it's real life again a little bit?
Yeah, because I'm like, what's it gonna be? It was weird. It's been a week so far going to the airport and like, this is happening. So, and I think everybody felt the same way. But once, the next day at the show, sound check, and once you get out there with the crowd, it just all made sense. And it was a great first show too.
I love that. I'm sure it was. So you're out on tour with The Cult right now. The first dates that you've had since, what was it, December 2019, I think you had said? That was the last.
December 14, 2019 in Boston. It was our last show.
Oh my gosh, right near me.
Christmas time. It was cold, yeah.
Yes, I bet it was.
Yeah. You know it was, yeah.
I mean, it's so incredible. And yet, tell me about the audience. Like, how is the energy compared to how it used to be? Is it like, are people more intense about it now?
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, they are really like, they've been waiting for this. I mean, and like for most people, like seeing shows being locked down for so long. But yeah, I noticed a big difference in the crowd. They're singing the words, and Ian, I mean, at the band right now, we have a couple new members in the band, and so far they're getting their legs, into it, and
yeah,
it's great. I mean, wearing that Zeppelin shirt is a member, kind of in the family. The new bass player, Charlie Jones, who actually played with Page and Plant.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, and his father-in-law is Robert Plant, so it's pretty cool.
How cool is that?
I have a lot of questions for him daily. It's like, so tell me about, what do you got for me? So this is going to be an amazing tour, and he's so happy to talk about it.
Oh, yeah. I love that so much. Are you like, what are holidays like?
Exactly. Is Robert coming to the show tomorrow?
Oh my gosh, that is super, super cool. I love that.
And he's an amazing bass player. So we're really clicking and finding ourselves now. And it's, I couldn't be happier.
Oh, I love that. And I know you're a Zeppelin fan too. So that's cool. That's super cool. I mean, who isn't, right? What drummer isn't a Zeppelin fan? And exactly. I wonder if I saw him. I saw Page and Plant. One of my first concerts ever was a Page and Plant concert. So
Michael Lee on drums?
Yes.
That was him. He had longer hair back then. Yes. I know.
Wow. That's amazing.
It's really funny. We played a festival in Rio back in 1995 when I was with White Zombie. And the day before Page Plant played, they had the whole Indian orchestra and everything. And we were allowed on the side of the stage. And I just bought like this high-8 video camera, and I'm filming it. I have a lot of the concert on film until someone told me to put the camera down. And I need to I haven't seen it since. I have to transfer it. Hopefully it still works. I told Charlie I have most of the concert on there. From the side of the stage, yeah.
From the side of the stage, yes. Yeah, that was 95 when I saw them too. So that's incredible. And they played with the Boston Symphony Orchestra, and I just remember them playing Kashmir and all the strings, just oh my gosh, I'll never forget. It just so powerful and kind of like life-changing in a way, just making you have a different appreciation for.
Absolutely. Yeah, those guys, they're one of the best bands ever. For me anyhow. So
absolutely. And actually, let's talk a little bit about like you when you were a kid and getting into playing and all of that, what was the moment when you realized you wanted to be a drummer?
I've always loved drums. My neighbor, Charlie Castelluccio, I'll tell you the full story. He's
Okay.
older than me. He's my oldest brother's age. So he was a next door neighbor, live in the Bronx here. Everything's kind of attached. There's just like a fence over it, and you bring everything over. So he had a blue sparkle drum kit, and I always looked up to him. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. I just watching him play, and I was about 10, 11 years old. And so he moved up to a gold sparkle drum kit, a bigger kit. And he asked my mom's like, I'll sell Johnny the drum kit for $25. I'm like, Mom, begged her and stuff. And I go, you have to get this. And so she did. She agreed. And we took the drums right over the porch, basically into the basement. And I set them up. My mom had a little, my mom does hair in the basement down there. And I set them up down there and cleaned them and put jewelry around the drums. And I just started practicing and practicing. And one of the first songs I think I tried to learn was Black Dog. So.
Oh, I love that. So good.
And then Charlie, knowing I was getting into it, he had tickets for David Bowie in 1977. So he asked my mom if he could take me to the concert at Madison Square Garden. And we took the train down, and I seen Dennis Davis play on the side of the stage. I had a view from the side, which was great because I had a full view of him. And that changed my life. That was it. I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm playing Madison Square Garden. And ever since then, I started really getting into it and taking drum lessons, and met my local drum teacher and mentor, John Spina, and really, did it.
That's amazing. And then again, you went to a concert, you had that experience, and it was life-changing. Like, this is what I want to do. And I love those
seeing the crowd, the feeling of the crowd, and I mean, it was magic for me,
Absolutely. Yeah. And now to think that you're you are causing that for other people, full circle,
causing them mayhem. No, it's fun. I've been very fortunate and blessed, and played in a lot of great bands. And I believe the first time I met you is when we played. I was with Helmet, right?
You were with Helmet. Yeah, it was probably I don't even know, maybe 2004, possibly.
It was 2004. What was the club? What was that?
You guys played Avalon when it was still Avalon. Yeah, yes, on Lansdowne Street.
That's right.
Across from Fenway, and I was brand new to Zildjian, and it was one of my first shows actually that I went to, and I was so excited to meet you. And then, oh my gosh, I met you, and I was just like, we're gonna be friends forever.
Oh yeah, instant connection. Big Red brought you John Sorensen, and my buddy, and so you gotta meet Sarah. She's it's just gonna be so cool, and that was it, man. Yeah.
So much fun. And I have a picture. I'll have to post it. I have a picture from that night. We look like babies, but but it was so much fun, and such a great show. And I knew of you because you had been playing with White Zombie, and White Zombie before that, and I had seen you play a few different times. I think was it Ozfest or Lollapalooza? Yeah, it was the Ozfest that you guys were on. It was so great.
It was Rob Zombie on Ozfest, never White Zombie. So our first time with Rob was in 1999 when Black Sabbath headlined.
Yes.
That
was what I was thinking of. Exactly. So good. Such a great show. Always. And you've had, the succession of bands that you've been in has been so great. Just, I love that you talk about the timing of everything, because
absolutely
right. You were a fan of the Cult.
I was, yeah.
And now, I mean, it must feel amazing to now kind of come full circle and be in the band. And
it is, but it took me a while. I'll tell you the story. I was just telling my drum tech, I seen the Cult with Charlie Benanti in '87 on Electric Tour at the Paramount in Madison Square Garden, the lower level. I'm like, yeah, man, these guys are great, but they need a better drummer. But later, when they broke up after 2000 and they got back together in 2005, I got a call from my friends saying they're looking for a drummer. And oh, really? Those guys again? Because 13 years prior, Ron Lafitte was their manager, a good friend of mine back in the day. He goes, listen, they're looking for a drummer. I was still in Testament. This is like 93, 94. Yeah. And he goes, I think you'd be perfect. I know you're a fan, and, the way you style, the look, the whole thing, what they want. I was like, okay, cool, I'm down. And I just felt so confident. I was like, I'm going to get this gig, right? So I'm like, my friend drops me off, and I don't think I even had a car. That's why he dropped me off. And it was like, I don't know what I was doing. So went to Third Encore Studios. I'm like, hey, I'm here for the Cult audition. And the receptionist goes, oh, they're not here. I'm like, what do you mean they're not here? I'm supposed to audition. Like, oh, they're done. I'm like, what? So my friend drops me off, and this is before cell phones and all that. And I had to find a pay phone. It's like 100 degrees out. I'm like, God, I'm pretty pissed off. So I'm like, Ron, what's going on? He goes, oh man, are you kidding me? Those guys are nuts. But on the other side of things, because I didn't get the gig, I joined White Zombie. So that just changed everything for me. And then 13 years later, I'm with the Cult for 16 years now. So timing is everything.
It is. It really is. It's amazing. And you actually did some gigs with Exodus again last year, right?
I did, yeah. Tom, the drummer, had called me. He had cancer, and he went through surgery, and he was hoping to be back on his feet, but he wasn't. And he goes, "If I can't, would you be willing to do it?" It's like, well, let me think about this. Look, I haven't played with Exodus in 28 years, and thrash, I filled in for Testament about 10 years prior, but it wasn't my thing again. And so I was like, I talked to Gary. Goes, yeah, you could do it, it'll be fun. I'm like, hell yeah, I'm gonna do it, man. I'm helping my brother out, so it was a lot of fun. It was kind of nervous. It was like our first show in Vegas, and the first show was in Vegas Psycho Circus at a big arena. It was so loud, but it was good, had fun with the boys. It's nice to go back to your roots again.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And that was like, you probably hadn't played too much before that during the quarantine too. So like getting back into that must have been fun.
It was, I was like, I got to get my double bass. I always have a big double bass kit in my drum room, but not that fast. I'm like, I better go back to 22-inch bass drums on this one. 24s, so like, let's keep it a little tighter, and so I got the hang of it. It was fun. Only one rehearsal, and I just went up and did it, so it was great.
Wow, that's so great.
Gary actually came over. He flew up from the Bay Area, and I have a rolling kit in my spare room there, my drum room, and so we jammed kind of just us and went over everything. It was fun.
That's so great. so great. And prior to that, like what did you find yourself doing during the quarantine? Were you did you have time to play? Did you have time?
I have the rolling kit in my house. I have my drum room and stuff, which I could go to. It's, no one's there. I have key access, and did the quarantine jams with a lot of people. So that was fun. We actually, my other band, Motor Sister, I'm not sure if you know of, we have a new record coming out, and I just finished recording my drum tracks at 606 Studio, Dave's studio. Very cool. I just found out a friend of mine knows of someone that works at the governor's office in California, and she's the one that gave me warning. They're going to do a lockdown like tomorrow or the next day. So I told everyone, and they really freaked out. And I just finished my drum track. So I went to the market and just stocked up, and 2 days later was a big lockdown, but I had a head start of it and just told everyone. And wow. Pretty wild. And so now the album's actually finally finished. It's coming out May 6th. So
that's so cool. Yeah. Tell us about that band, because the lineup is crazy and awesome. So tell us about it.
Well, Jim Wilson, the singer, guitar player, he played in Mother Superior, which used to be Henry Rollins' backup band, great band. And Scott and Ian and his wife Pearl O'Day, big fans. And so Scott had his 50th birthday party at his house. I'm like, dude, we should just do some motor jams for Jim. And we did. And like, this needs to turn into a record. And a couple months later, we're in the studio, recorded a record all live in 2 days. And so it became this thing. And whenever we have time, we jam. And so we did this record, which we're really excited about because it's all from us. The prior record was Jim's stuff from Mother Superior. We just redid it, made it a bit heavier. So now we shot a video a few weeks ago. And as soon as they get done with this tour on May 11th in San Diego, we're playing a show at the Whiskey on the 15th, the Whiskey Go-Go in LA with this for a record release party. Then I fly to the UK on the 20th, and we're doing shows with Alice Cooper, co-headlining tour out there. A handful of shows. Cool. Yeah, so it's like, you sit around for a while, but all of a sudden it's like, bah, 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 which is great.
Right? It's all coming flooding back.
It's coming full circle.
Oh my gosh, the music too is so good. I've heard some clips and it's so great.
You.
So anyone listening, check that out. So you said the album comes out May 11th?
Yeah, May 6th. May 6th, yeah. Yeah, the album, Motor Sister, called Get Off. And you could actually get some songs right now on Spotify, Apple Music. It's out there. And the new video will be out shortly. So it's exciting. It's like, it's got that old, like, 70s rock groove to it. Aerosmith meets Kiss meets Cheap Trick and all the good stuff. Thin Lizzy.
That's a great way to describe it, actually. That's so great. And the visuals are great, too. Like, I feel like the visuals are old school, too. Just like the art.
The video, talk about, like, 70s. It's perfect.
Yes. Very, very cool. Yeah, it definitely fits. Yeah, so anyone listening, I'll put some links, but definitely worth checking out. When I saw that, I was like, yes, this is what we need right now.
And that studio, man, the 606 Studios, unbelievable.
Tell me about that too. So Dave Grohl's 606 Studios, where you recorded.
Yep.
How was that experience?
It was incredible. I mean, you see everything Foo Fighters and Nirvana, and they have a whole lockout upstairs of all their gear stored there. So, and I have access to anything I wanted to use. So, like Taylor stuff,
I know.
Stuff is up, anything I wanted access to. And, but the room itself is just unbelievable. I mean, we didn't put really much on the drums itself. It was just natural sounding. And I couldn't be happier with the mix and just the production of it all.
Yeah. Like I said, it sounds really great. So
this is special. Yeah. And it's a, this one's for all of us, knowing him. It's a dedication to him too. So.
I love that. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's left a big legacy behind, and we're all left changed by him, I think. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited that you had that experience too. And
me too.
Yeah, it's so good. And I want to talk a little bit about your sound too, because you have a pretty like signature sound, I would say. You're a heavy hitter, you're a big hitter, and you play, like you were saying, big drums and everything, but you have finesse to your playing. And I'm just wondering, like, did that come from your education growing up, or the kind of music you were listening to? Like, how did you figure that out?
Definitely with the music I was listening to. Yeah, when I was younger, it's like the heavier you hit, the bigger sticks you play, the cooler you are, the more cymbals you play. And I realized that later on, like, no, this is not good. My hands are killing me now after all those years, but I'm playing lighter sticks. It is finesse. And, after a while, and I did learn that the Cult taught me a valuable lesson about that, like technique and, dynamic, especially with Billy Duffy, and like, you have, you don't have to kill it, just swing more, like Mark Bazicki playing this, or and it's just more swing style. And learning it with that, I've become, I think, a better drummer from that. And I never get calluses. I hardly break cymbals anymore. It's like there are definitely parts in the songs where I'll bring out some energy, but for the most part, I try to just stay more in the pocket, relaxed a bit.
Absolutely. And that's smart. That's like something I think that comes
keep me going is what it's going to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. You kind of like, you learn over the years how to like save yourself, save your energy, save
yourself. There you go. Yes.
Yeah. Because drumming is such a physical endeavor, and it takes a lot.
Especially when you're headlining, playing like hour, 20 hour and a half set every night. So yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And you are always in shape too. Like, do you do anything else to stay in shape, or is it just drumming? Nightly.
No, I go to the gym when I'm home. I try to do like about 5-6 miles a day, elliptical, just to get my cardio going. I go to my dog park in the morning. I'm always constantly like on tour, especially. I look at my steps. Like I walk a lot. I can't stand still. I'm not one of those people that can sit on the bus. I just need to keep walking. So at the end of the day, I'm looking at 12,000 steps on my phone. Like, okay.
Yeah, I can picture that. You have a lot of energy for sure.
I'm a hyper dude. Yes, I get that from my dad. The Italian thing.
Right. No, and it's so good. Like that's such a good thing. And I think like we can think of like so many of our friends who are like that too. Like Kenny Aronoff comes to mind. And I feel like
Kenny.
You know, like if you talk about energy spectrum, Kenny's like at the absolute peak.
He's a bit ahead of me, man. Yeah. I think Kenny, he was doing a thing at Sunset Sound, and I let him borrow my Tama Gold Walnut kit because he wanted to check him out. So Sam Tom was like, hey, just let him borrow him. I'm not using them right now, and he's loving them. He's ordering a whole new kit. So it was cool to see Kenny actually playing on my drum kit in the studio.
That is super cool.
You know, it's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I love him. When you hear his name, Kenny, it's just so funny. Yeah.
This is the second podcast in a row I think that we've talked about Kenny Aronoff. So I think Kenny's going to have to come on. I talked to him the other day. But he's like everywhere at once. You know what I mean? Like he is to nail him down for like a period of time is nearly impossible. So we'll try to make it happen. But yeah, he's everywhere. I know. I know. And you know, like you are part of this community of drummers. You're in LA now, right? So you born in the Bronx and spent time in the
I've been in LA longer than New York now, but I still got the Bronx accent, man.
Right. That's great.
It's just insane. I go home for one day, that's it. I'm hanging out with my brother Vinny. He's like, oh, what are you doing over there? You know? It's a whole other story. Yeah.
I love it. I love it being from Boston and appreciating accents. You know, it's
you guys have funny accents too.
We do. We have I don't
John
know.
John Sorensen does. That guy. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, my whole family has like a super great Boston accent and somehow it skipped me, I guess, but
one generation, right?
Yeah, it skipped a generation, I guess. I'm not sure. But yeah, it's so funny. I love, I cannot do accents, so I love it when someone has a great accent or can do
yeah, and I love, like, I told you, I was watching TV, the day off the other day, and the Wahlburgers were on a nice scene when Donnie brought his kid over to the factory. Like, this is Sarah. Oh, that was so cool. I was so happy. I'm like, look at this. I know that room. I know the vault. I know those drum kit. I played on that drum kit right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you texted me and you were like, I'm watching you on TV right now on Wahlburgers. And I was like, oh my goodness. That was so much fun. That was a fun day. Like, how often do you have a reality TV shoot happening, but that kind of came about because Donnie's son is a drummer and he had come in a couple of times to like select cymbals and and Donnie hadn't been able to make it with him. So he had like one of his best friends who is, I guess, one of the characters on the show too, or the guys on the show. And he would come in with Elijah, with Donnie's son. And then it became this premise for an episode of the Wahlburgers show. So they called and said, hey, what do you think? Can we do this? And will you be part of it? And we'll mic you up. And I was just like, sure, sure, we'll do it. But I love it. Fun. And like the nicest people too. I have to just give a shout out to the family and the team and stuff. Super nice.
Oh, it was great. It was great. And he's a good drummer, the kid.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah, he used to and maybe still, but get up and play during the New Kids on the Block shows. But he actually he's like producing music. He's got Pink Laces is his group, and he's making great music and stuff. So it's nice when you see, because that was a few years back, so it's nice when you see someone like grow into their musical ability and like keep going with it and stuff. I just love that. Yeah,
that's great, man. Happy to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, the community of drummers, like the community of friends, I love to see, like when you post on Instagram. So great. Like, you're supportive, and everyone's supporting each other. And I see you like going out and seeing Danny Carey play, and you know,
Oh
you
yeah.
guys are friends, and Dave Lombardo, and like the whole group. Roy
Yeah, probably
Mayorga,
like 90% of my friends are drummers. Yeah, and all good friends, and we have a great, like you said, a great community. You know, way
yes, yeah.
different from anyone else in the band, but drummers are coolest.
I say that all the time. Like, there's something about the
Yeah.
fact that we are in the back, and we're kind of like
Mhm.
hidden. Like, we're not, you know, up in the front. We're not, you know, right? Like the face of it. Like, you can still go to the store and not be
That's You know
bombarded.
what's funny? So check this out. Yesterday, I'm walking around. We played Memphis, you know, at Elvis's at Graceland, the theater right there. And I'm walking around, and there's this dude walking. This older guy. He goes, "You in the band?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "You're the drummer." I go, "You were correct, sir. How about that? Is this the way I walk? What is it?" He's just, you know, I know I'm like this, but that was pretty funny. And after the show, he goes, "You rocked it, man. You rocked it." So that was
Oh,
cool. Yeah.
I love that. And it is nice to be recognized, of course, because like
Yeah.
that's what you do for a living, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
so that's a nice part. But then it also is nice to like not be bombarded all the time and like be able to live like a normal human in a
Oh
lot
yeah,
of ways.
I'll go anywhere. I don't care. You know what I mean? So
Right?
I mean, over restrictions, obviously on tour you can't, but yeah, I mean,
Right.
I
No.
I'm always around. You know?
But I think there's something about being like in the back and behind the drums, and you know, you kind of like you connect with other drummers in that aspect where like you're a rock star, but you're still like
Mm-hmm.
a human, and you don't get like I don't know what it is, but your head doesn't get too big about it, I guess. And then it causes you to really kind of like just connect with other drummers who have that same
Yeah,
perspective and the same
I think
attitude.
so. I think we all have the same thing, you know, feeling about that. So yeah, it's great. I
Absolutely.
mean, Tom Hunting, you know, from Exodus, the guy who filled in was there, and Dave Lombardo. And Will Carroll from Death Angel. It was a family reunion because these are my first two bands I played in. So it
Oh,
was so
I
much
love
fun.
it. I love
Eddie was
it. And yeah, and anytime there's a hang with drummers, anytime there's like you know, we used to do the artist sessions with Zildjian and like get everyone in a city together to just hang
that
out
was
with each
fun.
other. All
That
that
was the
stuff is,
best.
oh my gosh, so much fun. That was so good. That last one that
Yeah.
we had in LA was a blast too, I remember. But like it is like a family reunion. Like we are family, and it's like just
Yeah.
the greatest community. I love it so much.
It really is, yeah. And it's funny, like Danny and I, we stay in touch. You know, they're on tour, and like I'm finally on tour. He's happy, and they're in Sweden. We're like, I heard you got this kit. It's just like we're just gearheads, and that's come we
Yeah.
just listen to 70s progressive rock or Genesis, yes, Jethro Tull. We just geek out, man. It's great, and we still have that passion, and that's a good thing. We haven't lost it, and you know, it's
Yeah.
you're always learning from someone else. You know what I mean?
Always, always. And I think that's another super cool thing about drummers, because like everyone's a gear geek. Everybody. Like we could just talk and talk and talk about gear forever, and anyone around who is not into that is just like their eyes are rolling into the back of their head, and we are like in the element, like, you know, cymbals, my thing, like
Anything.
go so deep into it. And you know, I know we talked about Taylor, but one thing that struck me about Taylor Hawkins was that he was just like that too. Like
Yep.
so into the gear, and he just like knew everything about every company's products, everything that was coming out. And you kind of think to yourself, like, you know, Taylor's a superstar and he's in the Foo Fighters and he's touring the world and, you know, sold out arenas and all of that, but like at the end of the day, he's just like us, and he's a total gearhead, and I loved that about him.
My first time meeting Taylor, he had a tom in his hand, and like he was with Alanis Morissette, and it was one of those big radio shows. I was a White Zombie. This is '95, so it was a Slingerland tom, but it had Gretsch shells. He goes, check that, the Gretsch shells, and I'm like, oh wow, you know. He was so geeking. I'm geeking. I was like, check out my, you know. So
yes, yeah. I mean, it's a universal language, and it's so connecting, and I love that about it.
yeah,
so good. It's so good. And speaking of drums too, let's geek out a little bit, because you just got a new kit.
Yes.
And it is fantastic. And I love that you named it Big Blue.
Well, New York Giants, Big
Yeah.
Blues. Yeah. It's kind of the color. Yeah, it's Big Blue. Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. And it is a big kit too. So this is a Tama kit. Is it a Star kit? Is that what it is?
It's a Star Maple kit. Yeah. And I waited a good year for it. It's a big kit. I have a lot more stuff. And in my drum room, it's a giant kit. And I still have stuff that, like, for the Cult, I do a single bass and 13, 16, 18, I brought the 810 concert toms, the tribute to Taylor. If you look at my setup, it looks, kind of, and it's comfortable. It's cool. And I have a gong drum to the left. And I based it off a Ford GT racing car finish, and Tama nailed it. It's a midnight blue metallic, and it's gorgeous. So I couldn't be happier. Thank you. And they sound incredible. I would say, I say this about every kit, but it's my best so far. So this is our best record until our next record.
It has to be, right? It has to be the best record until the next one.
You always have to achieve that goal for the next one. Yeah.
Yes, you do. You absolutely do. But it is beautiful. It is beautiful. And also you have a signature snare that is really nice too. And what size is it?
It's a 7x14 2mm brass, and it's a monster. I mean, I started playing it with Hellman. I got it way back when as a prototype, so it took years, and where I could really get that sound like the John Stanger, crank it up, really tight, like a Bruford sound, and I could tune it down, what I'm doing with the Cult. So it has a great range, and a lot of guys are loving it out there. I mean, Danny was playing it live with Tool.
Wow!
I gave him when he was playing it. Yeah, Joey Castillo was playing it, and the drummer from Fish has one. Fish.
Really?
Vic told me, Vic's Drum Shop. He goes, he was there all day trying snare drums out, and he bought yours. I'm like, wow! And he sends me a photo of my snare drum with Fish. I'm like,
that is super cool.
So nuts, right?
Yeah, that is nice.
Ron from Mastodon uses it, and he recorded with the Game of Thrones soundtrack. I'm like, dude, that's killer, man. So
wow, I'm gonna have to go back.
I'm really proud of it. My brother came up with the JT design, the badge. My brother designed that. Keep it in the family. So.
That is was that Mike, your brother Mike?
Yes.
Okay, so and that was a question too, like. I know you guys play together when you can, right?
We actually did a song for Graham Bonnet, the singer, from Rainbow. He has a new solo record out, and his girlfriend Bethany, we're old friends and played bass, and so we've become pretty close, all of us. And Graham's like, you should play a song in the record. My brother wrote the song, and I did drums on it, so it's a great thing. It's coming out really soon. I couldn't be happier because. With Graham, he was very close with Cozy Powell, one of my drumming idols. And so I'm like, man, he's another one I have to tell me stories about Cozy.
Yes.
Tell me, what was he like? What did he wear that day? One of those.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Go Wade.
Nerd. Yeah. So.
Did you play with your brother while you guys were growing up? Did you guys play together?
No, we didn't. Mike is 2 years younger, and he started playing later on in life, and I was playing with bands, and but we were able to jam a couple times. It's weird. It's funny because he was in Powerman 5000, Rob Zombie's brother, Spider, and I'm in Rob. So we had the two brothers, but we never toured at that time. Like, it made no sense, and we had the same management. Like, why aren't we touring together? I don't know.
Mystery. You would think that would be something that would happen.
And they did a great record, and that record went platinum on them. And it's like they were big back then. So I don't get it. But
yes,
too bad.
And that was that time in music history too. Like I think about those years because I had started drumming kind of shortly before that, and music wise, it was such a formative time, in my experience, but. I also think about the industry at the time and how much fun everything was. And I know we talked a little bit about this before we started recording, but that time frame was just a blast. You must have the funnest stories from being on the road and just living it up in that time.
The 90s were great. for music, especially bands, you know, where you want to call them new metal or whatnot. And
Yes.
Zombie, we were great at the time. The record was like in the top 10 for a few months, you know, and I was like, wow, it just happened, like from Testament to White Zombie, then writing this song, and it was like more human than human. It's like I just started playing this drum beat, like a Bonham beat, and Rob was like, keep playing that. He had a 4-track recorder. It became this huge thing. Honestly, I didn't think that song would make the record, and it became this with the, you know, with the synthesizer, and then Rob's vocal, slide guitar, and then the video on top of it. Yeah.
I think about that. I think about that song, and it is like magic. Like those elements came together to create this classic. Like it was just so good.
You just never know. Yeah, like I said, doing the record, when I was recording it, because this is before the keyboards and all that came up, we're just doing this, you know, basic tracks. I'm like, all right, where's this gonna go? And it just became this giant thing. Incredible. Rob's in the, you know, when he was recording it, he would be watching like old horror movies, just getting inspiration, just recording his tracks. And it was, I wish I had more photos and video of the actual session back then from the recording, but you know, there's good memories in the head. But I do have a couple photos of us. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of like the time before everybody had like a cell phone, or, you know, even camera phones weren't even popular, right? Like, and now everything.
If you didn't have a real camera on you, that's it, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
but that's so cool though that he was watching old horror movies, like
too easy.
Yes. And then of course
that's where you got the inspiration.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And I always ask that question. I'll ask you too. Where do you find creative inspiration? Like, are you into anything that you pull from is it from music or like outside of music? Like, for example, with him pulling ideas and themes from horror movies, where do you find your creative inspiration from?
Honestly, it goes back to like the people inspired me back in the day. Like there's those handful of drummers, and it's the 70s rock, which I love. I mean, like, you know, being a kid, I just, those are the best memories to me. So, and, you know, but I'll listen to everything. I mean, it'll go from Zeppelin to Sabbath to Aerosmith to Bad Company to Thin Lizzy to, you know what I mean? And it gets heavier but all those drummers, you know, and Simon Phillips. I was just texting with Simon. I was geeking out because I was like, so, did you use this fiberglass drum kit on the first Michael Schenker record? And we're like geeking. So I'm like, and I won't stop. So I better cut this off. So like, or like Terry Bozzio, and I was like, I know these people. It's like I still get nervous around them. That's what I'm saying. So yeah.
You know, Simon, you know that Simon's like so happy to have those questions, because that like want to talk.
And he did a detailed thing about the recording, what mics used, with studio, and who he was. Oh man, you know him. He'll just get into him like, whoa, this is great. And so what about the next record? And he'll still keep going. So yeah.
He goes
for a fan, and you know, it's amazing.
Yeah, he
I love it. He's such a sweetheart.
He is. He is such a sweetheart. He
remembers every detail he does, and that's become he's so incredible. I mean, the detail to his drumming, just, you know, the finesse, just everything. It's Simon, as we know, right? He's Simon.
I mean, he is Simon. That's all you need to say, really. I did have a really great conversation with him recently. We've been talking a lot because he went up and did a Drumeo masterclass recently. So in setting that up, we've been talking a ton, and you know, we talked about how he always sets up his drums on a wood floor. It has to be a wood floor. There cannot be a rug. Plywood. Yeah, and he has like his platform, his plinth that he has that is always with his kit. And you know, I love how specific he is about sound, down to the tiny details. It just makes me so happy, you know.
And me too. And the best thing about Simon is he always has the monstrous kit. He'll never scale down. That's his setup. He's comfortable with. And I love that, man.
Yeah.
Simon.
Yeah, me too.
That's it.
Simon.
It's
just
marvelous.
Simon.
And the sound, one of the best drum sounds ever, honestly. Yeah. He knows how to
Agreed.
tune, and obviously plays top drums. He's one of the oldest artists, so one of the best drum companies, as we know.
Absolutely. Yes. And I don't want to end this without reading this quote, because I read this quote and I was like, this is so good. Eric Peterson of Exodus said of you, John is definitely one of the best drummers in the country. He has the power of John Bonham, the finesse of Carter Beauford, and the aggression of Dave Lombardo. As a drummer, John really has it all. Oh. And I was just like, how beautiful is that? And that kind of just like sums it all up,
Those are really nice words from Eric. And yeah, we're pretty close. Actually, when we wrote the Low record, Testament, it was just him and I. He had the riffs, and we just go there every day and work together. So, we have a good chemistry, and he's a good friend. It was amazing to see him, and great guitar player. Those are another, great fond memories too, because I'm very proud of that record, the Low record. And that's when I first went to Zildjian, and I recorded Zildjian's on that record.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
Brent came down to the studio. He was there for the record.
That's so great. Well, you're on tour right now with the Cult. You have some more tour dates happening.
Yes.
And then you have the Whiskey A Go-Go on May 15th with Motor Sister.
Correct.
Okay. And then how is your summer looking? Like, where will you be? Will you be back in LA? Do you have other things happening?
After the Motor Sister show, I leave May 20th for the UK. We're doing 6 arena shows, co-headlining shows with Alice Cooper out in the UK. And then I'll see like Tina Clark and all our friends, hopefully Bob will show up. Yeah. And sure. And after that, we have a month off in June. In July, we're doing a headlining tour, and it's not announced yet, so I don't want to say anything. So that's for like a month, and then we'll do another U.S. run. I think September, October. So this is what I'm hearing. They're still trying to get it together. So and maybe Motor Sister dates in between, because everyone in Motor Sister is busy,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Scott with Anthrax, and Joey Vera's doing Armored Saint, as well as Merciful Fate, and Jim plays with Daniel Lanois. So and Pearls does her thing. So when we find the time, we have like hopefully 1 week of dates we could do. So
that'll be so good. It's nice to just see things happening again and everyone back out there.
I feel such a relief, man. I got to be honest with you.
Me too.
It feels good.
I feel the same way. It feels so good. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, John, I'm going to put some links in the description and in the podcast show notes for everyone to make sure that they're following along with you on Instagram, and that they have the dates that you'll be out there and can come in and check you out and see what you're up to. So I just want to say thank you so much for being here today. Spending some time.
My pleasure. That was so much fun. Always good to catch up with you, Sarah.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And I'll see you soon. I am sure we're going to run into each other somewhere or another soon. In the meantime, you take care.
You too. Bye. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in today. Join us each Tuesday for new episodes of Sarah Hagan Backstage.